A devoted husband's world shattered when a viral TikTok video exposed his wife's secret Miami affair with a wealthy businessman, driving him to meticulously plan the perfect revenge that would make her pay for destroying their 10-year marriage. But 3 months later, when police search his basement, they discover something that leaves even seasoned detectives speechless and reveals the horrifying truth about what really happened on that fateful night. Marcus Rodriguez had always believed his marriage was solid as granite. He and his wife Isabella had built what everyone admired as the perfect suburban life in Phoenix, Arizona. They owned a beautiful home on Cedar Avenue, drove matching luxury cars, and regularly posted happy photos on social media. But on a seemingly ordinary Tuesday morning in September, while scrolling through TikTok during his lunch break, Marcus stumbled upon a video that would destroy everything he thought he knew about his life. Marcus Rodriguez, 34 years old, worked as a senior software engineer for a prominent tech company in downtown Phoenix. His wife, Isabella, 31, managed a successful boutique marketing firm that specialized in luxury brands. To their neighbors, friends, and family, they represented the American dream perfectly realized. They lived in a pristine 2-story house in one of Phoenix's most desirable neighborhoods, complete with a manicured lawn, 3-car garage, and a swimming pool that sparkled like a jewel in their backyard. Their love story had begun 10 years earlier at Arizona State University, where Marcus was pursuing his computer science degree, and Isabella was studying business marketing. They met at a campus coffee shop during finals week, both stressed and exhausted from studying. Marcus had accidentally bumped into Isabella, spilling coffee on her textbooks. What started as an embarrassing accident turned into their first date, then their first relationship, and eventually their fairy tale wedding in the mountains of Sedona. For the first 8 years of their marriage, everything seemed perfect. Marcus earned promotions steadily, eventually reaching a 6-figure salary that allowed Isabella to start her own business. She proved incredibly talented at marketing, quickly building a client base of high-end restaurants, jewelry stores, and fashion boutiques throughout Arizona and California. Her success meant frequent business trips to Los Angeles, San Diego, and Miami, where she worked with clients who demanded face-to-face meetings and personalized service. Marcus never questioned these trips. He trusted Isabella completely and admired her entrepreneurial spirit. When she returned from business trips, she always brought him thoughtful gifts and shared exciting stories about her meetings with celebrities, wealthy entrepreneurs, and influential business leaders. Their marriage seemed to grow stronger with each success Isabella achieved. But on that Tuesday morning in September, everything changed in the span of 15 seconds. Marcus was eating his usual turkey sandwich in the company break room, mindlessly scrolling through TikTok to decompress from a particularly challenging coding session. The algorithm had been serving him the usual mix of tech reviews, comedy sketches, and cooking videos. Then a video appeared that made his blood freeze in his veins. The video showed a luxurious Miami rooftop party. Beautiful people in expensive clothes danced against the backdrop of the city skyline. The camera panned across the crowd, capturing the glamorous atmosphere of what appeared to be an exclusive networking event. But at the 7-second mark, the camera focused on a couple dancing intimately near the edge of the rooftop. The woman was Isabella. There was no doubt about it. She wore a stunning red dress that Marcus had never seen before, her long dark hair flowing as she moved. But she was not dancing alone. Her arms were wrapped around a tall man with silver hair and an expensive suit. They were not just dancing, they were kissing passionately, completely lost in each other, oblivious to the camera capturing their intimate moment. Marcus dropped his sandwich. His hands trembled as he replayed the video. The caption read, "Miami's hottest rooftop party last weekend. Rich people living their best lives." The video had been posted 4 days earlier and already had over 2 million views. 4 days earlier, Isabella had been in Miami for what she called a crucial client meeting with a restaurant chain looking to expand into Arizona. She had texted Marcus regularly, sharing photos of her hotel room, her meals, and even a selfie from what she claimed was a boring business dinner. But this video revealed a completely different truth. Marcus studied every frame of the video. He zoomed in on Isabella's face, hoping desperately that it was somehow a mistake, a woman who simply resembled his wife. But the heart-shaped birthmark on her left shoulder was clearly visible, the same birthmark he had kissed countless times during their 10 years together. The man she was dancing with appeared to be in his 40s, clearly wealthy, based on his clothing and the expensive watch glinting on his wrist. Marcus screenshot the video and began searching through the comments, desperate for any information about the party or the people in it. One comment caught his attention. "That's definitely Antonio Vasquez, the restaurant mogul. Dude owns like 50 restaurants across Florida and California, major player in Miami's social scene." Marcus's heart sank further. Isabella's client meeting had been with Antonio Vasquez, but this was clearly much more than a business relationship. Marcus spent the rest of his workday in a daze. He could not concentrate on his code, could not focus on his meetings, could not even carry on normal conversations with his colleagues. The video played on repeat in his mind, each viewing making the betrayal feel more real and more devastating. He left work early, claiming he felt sick, which was not entirely a lie. The nausea in his stomach was overwhelming, and his hands had not stopped shaking since he first saw the video. During the drive home, Marcus called Isabella, hoping against hope that there was some innocent explanation for what he had witnessed. "Hey, sweetheart," Isabella answered cheerfully. "How was your day?" "It was fine," Marcus managed to say, his voice strained. "How is your trip going?" "Oh, the usual boring meetings. I am actually in another client dinner right now, so I cannot talk long, but I miss you so much. I will be home tomorrow evening." Marcus felt like his chest was being crushed. She was lying so effortlessly, so naturally. "Where exactly are you having dinner?" "Just some fancy place downtown," the client insisted on showing off. "You know how these wealthy types are," she laughed. The same laugh that had once made Marcus's heart flutter, but now made him feel physically ill. "Are you alone with the client?" There was a brief pause. "Well, there are a few people here. It is more of a networking thing." "Why do you ask?" "Just curious. I love you." "I love you too, baby. I will call you later tonight. Okay?" After ending the call, Marcus sat in his car in the driveway for 20 minutes, staring at their house. The home they had bought together. The place where they had planned to raise children. The sanctuary where they had shared their dreams and fears. Now it felt like a monument to deception. That evening, Marcus began what would become an obsessive investigation into his wife's activities. He started by carefully examining Isabella's social media accounts, looking for any clues he might have missed. Her Instagram showed the usual business trip photos, airport lounges, hotel rooms, professional meetings. But now Marcus noticed things that had not registered before. The timestamps on her posts did not always match her claimed schedule. Photos supposedly taken during client dinners showed backgrounds that looked more like nightclubs than restaurants. Marcus created a fake social media account and began following people who had been tagged at the Miami rooftop. Through careful detective work, he discovered that the party had been a regular weekly event at one of Antonio Vasquez's restaurants. The guest list was exclusive, featuring Miami's wealthiest entrepreneurs, celebrities, and socialites. Digging deeper, Marcus found photos from previous weeks showing Isabella at other exclusive Miami events, always with Antonio Vasquez, always looking comfortable and intimate. The relationship clearly extended far beyond a single business meeting. Marcus discovered that Isabella had been traveling to Miami monthly for the past 8 months. Not quarterly as she had told him. Credit card statements, which he had never bothered to examine closely, revealed expensive purchases at Miami boutiques, high-end restaurants, and luxury hotels. She had been living a double life, and Marcus had been paying for it. The most devastating discovery came when Marcus found a series of charges at a Miami jewelry store. One purchase, made just 6 weeks earlier, was for over $8,000. Isabella had claimed the expensive bracelet she had been wearing recently was a gift from a grateful client. Now Marcus realized she had bought it herself, using their joint credit card to commemorate her affair. Sleep became impossible. Marcus would lie awake at night staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation, every trip, every lie. Isabella's stories began to fall apart under scrutiny. The difficult client, who demanded weekend meetings, was actually her lover. The boring business dinners were romantic getaways. The networking events were intimate parties, where she played the role of Antonio's girlfriend. Marcus lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks. His co-workers noticed his distraction and poor performance. His supervisor called him into a meeting to discuss his declining productivity, but Marcus could barely focus on the conversation. His entire world had been revealed as an elaborate fiction, and he was struggling to process the scope of Isabella's deception. When Isabella returned from her Miami trip, she greeted Marcus with her usual enthusiasm, full of stories about successful meetings and potential new contracts. She had brought him an expensive bottle of wine and a watch she claimed was a gift from a client who owned a luxury goods company. "You look tired, honey," she said, running her fingers through his hair. "Are you working too hard again?" Marcus wanted to confront her immediately, to demand the truth, to show her the TikTok video, and watch her face as her lies crumbled. But something held him back. Perhaps it was the complete ease with which she continued to deceive him, the casual way she maintained her fabricated reality. Isabella was not just cheating, she was systematically destroying their marriage while pretending to be the perfect wife. That night, as Isabella slept peacefully beside him, Marcus made a decision that would change both of their lives forever. He would not simply confront her about the affair. He would not file for divorce and split their assets. Isabella had spent months carefully planning her deception, living a secret life while manipulating him into funding her betrayal. Marcus decided that Isabella deserved to experience the same devastation she had inflicted on him. She deserved to have her carefully constructed world collapse as completely as his had. She deserved to pay for every lie, every manipulation, every moment of false affection she had shown him while carrying on her affair. Marcus began planning his revenge with the same methodical approach he applied to complex coding projects. He would gather evidence, create a strategy, and execute a plan that would expose Isabella's deception in the most humiliating and devastating way possible. Over the next month, Marcus transformed from a heartbroken husband into a calculating strategist. He used his technical skills to monitor Isabella's digital activities, tracking her location through shared family apps, analyzing her phone records, and even accessing her email accounts through passwords she had carelessly shared years earlier. The depth of Isabella's deception was staggering. Her relationship with Antonio Vasquez had been ongoing for nearly a year. Their communications revealed plans for Isabella to eventually move to Miami permanently, leaving Marcus and starting a new life with her wealthy lover. Antonio had been encouraging Isabella to divorce Marcus, promising to support her through the process and help her relocate her business to Florida. But Isabella had been stalling, telling Antonio she needed more time to handle the situation carefully. Marcus realized that Isabella was trying to maximize her financial gain from their divorce. She had been secretly consulting with attorneys, moving money into personal accounts, and even having their house appraised. Isabella was not just having an affair, she was systematically planning to destroy Marcus financially while securing her own future. This discovery pushed Marcus past the point of simple heartbreak into cold, calculated fury. Isabella was not just cheating, she was actively planning to ruin him. She had turned their marriage into a business transaction, using Marcus as a financial resource while pursuing her real relationship with Antonio. Marcus decided that his revenge needed to be public, devastating, and permanent. He would expose Isabella's affair in a way that would destroy her reputation, her business, and her relationship with Antonio. But he would also ensure that she faced legal consequences for her financial deception. The plan Marcus developed was elaborate and required precise timing. He decided to fake his own death, making it appear that Isabella had murdered him in a fit of rage after being confronted about her affair. The evidence would be so compelling that Isabella would be arrested for murder, destroying her reputation and her relationship with Antonio. Then, after she had experienced the terror of facing life in prison, Marcus would reveal that he was alive, exposing her affair publicly and ensuring she received no financial benefit from their marriage. Marcus spent weeks preparing for his plan. He rented a storage unit under a false name, using fake identification he had learned to create through online tutorials. He moved money from their joint accounts into cryptocurrency wallets, ensuring Isabella could not access their assets. He gathered evidence of her affair and her financial manipulation, preparing to present it to attorneys and law enforcement. The most challenging part of Marcus's plan was creating convincing evidence of his own murder. He used his technical skills to manipulate security camera footage, create fake blood using theatrical supplies, and even purchased clothing identical to what Isabella wore, which he would use to create false evidence of her presence at the scene of his supposed death. Marcus chose the date carefully. Isabella had another Miami trip planned for the first weekend in November. She would be with Antonio, giving her a potential alibi, but Marcus had discovered through his surveillance that she had been secretly returning to Phoenix for a few hours during these trips without telling Antonio. This pattern would make it plausible that she had returned to confront Marcus about discovering her affair. On the Friday evening before Isabella's trip, Marcus set his plan in motion. He had spent the day setting up the scene in their basement, creating what would appear to be evidence of a violent confrontation. Fake blood splattered the walls and floor. Marcus's torn clothing was scattered around the room. A baseball bat, wiped clean of fingerprints except for Isabella's, lay nearby covered in the same theatrical blood. Marcus had even created a fake suicide note from Isabella, confessing to killing him in a moment of rage and expressing her remorse. The note detailed her affair with Antonio and her plan to steal their money, making it appear that she had been overwhelmed by guilt and taken her own life after murdering her husband. But as Marcus stood in the basement, surrounded by the elaborate crime scene he had created, something unexpected happened. The full weight of what he was about to do hit him like a physical blow. He was not just planning to frame Isabella for murder, he was planning to destroy her life completely. Even though she had betrayed him, even though she had planned to ruin him financially, Marcus realized that his revenge had grown into something monstrous. Isabella was guilty of adultery and financial manipulation, but she was not a murderer. Marcus's plan would not just expose her crimes, it would make her a victim of his own elaborate deception. He would be becoming the very thing he hated about Isabella. A manipulator, a liar, someone who destroyed lives for personal gain. Standing in the fake crime scene, Marcus felt the first moment of clarity he had experienced in months. His thirst for revenge had consumed him, turning him into someone he did not recognize. He had spent so much time planning Isabella's destruction that he had not considered the moral implications of his actions. Marcus decided to abandon his revenge plan. He would confront Isabella directly about her affair, file for divorce, and expose her financial manipulation through legal channels. It would be painful and humiliating, but it would be honest and ethical. But as Marcus began cleaning up the fake crime scene, he heard the sound of the garage door opening. Isabella was home, 2 days earlier than expected. Marcus froze as he heard Isabella's footsteps above him. She was not supposed to be home until Sunday evening. His fake crime scene was only half cleaned, with theatrical blood still splattered across the basement walls, and his torn clothing scattered on the floor. "Marcus," Isabella called from upstairs. "Are you home? Your car is in the garage." Marcus's mind raced. He could not let Isabella see the basement in its current state. She would think he had completely lost his mind, or worse, that he was planning to actually harm her. He quickly gathered the fake evidence, stuffing it into garbage bags. "I am down in the basement," Marcus called back, his voice strained. "I will be up in a minute." But Isabella was already coming downstairs. "What are you doing down there? I tried calling you, but your phone went straight to voicemail." Marcus had turned off his phone as part of his original plan. Now he was trapped in a basement that looked like a crime scene, with no way to explain what Isabella was about to discover. Isabella appeared at the bottom of the stairs, just as Marcus was attempting to wipe fake blood from the wall. She took in the scene with growing horror: the splattered walls, the torn clothing, the baseball bat, the garbage bags full of what appeared to be evidence. "Marcus, what the hell is this?" Isabella's voice was barely a whisper. "What have you done?" Marcus realized how the scene must look to Isabella. She did not know the blood was fake, or that this was all part of an abandoned revenge plan. To her, it appeared that her husband had either committed a violent crime or was planning to commit one. "Isabella, I can explain everything," Marcus said. But even as he spoke, he realized how insane his explanation would sound. Isabella was backing toward the stairs, her face pale with terror. "Did you hurt someone? Oh my God. Marcus, did you kill someone?" No, it is not what it looks like," Marcus said desperately. "The blood is fake. This is all fake. I was planning something, but I changed my mind. I was cleaning it up when you got home." But Isabella was not listening. She had pulled out her phone and was dialing 911. "I need to report a crime," she said into the phone. "My husband has a bloody crime scene in our basement. I think he might have killed someone." Marcus felt his world collapsing for the second time in 2 months. "Isabella, Please hang up the phone. Let me explain. Stay away from me, Isabella said, continuing to back up the stairs. I do not know who you are anymore. Within minutes, police sirens filled the quiet neighborhood. Marcus sat on the basement floor, surrounded by his fake crime scene, knowing that his elaborate revenge plan had backfired in the most spectacular way possible. The police who responded to Isabella's call were experienced officers who had seen genuine crime scenes. They immediately recognized that something was wrong with the basement. The blood spatter patterns were incorrect. The positioning of evidence was too convenient, and the theatrical blood had a distinctly artificial appearance under their flashlights. Detective Rachel Martinez, who led the investigation, spent 3 hours examining the scene before reaching her conclusion. This is not a real crime scene, she told her partner. This is staged, probably with fake blood and planted evidence. When confronted with the detective's findings, Marcus broke down and confessed everything. He told the police about discovering Isabella's affair, about his months of surveillance and investigation, and about his abandoned plan to fake his own death and frame Isabella for murder. The confession revealed the full scope of Marcus's mental breakdown and the elaborate nature of his revenge scheme. Detective Martinez had never encountered a case quite like it. A man so devastated by his wife's betrayal that he had planned to frame her for his own fake murder. But as the investigation continued, Detective Martinez made another shocking discovery. While searching Marcus's computer for evidence of his planning, she found the extensive documentation of Isabella's affair and financial manipulation. The evidence Marcus had gathered revealed that Isabella had been systematically stealing from their joint accounts, lying about her business expenses, and planning to divorce Marcus while keeping the majority of their assets. Both of these people have been living in a fantasy, Detective Martinez told her partner. He was planning an elaborate fake murder, and she was planning an elaborate financial fraud. Isabella, who had initially appeared to be the victim of her husband's mental breakdown, was now facing potential charges for financial fraud and adultery-related theft. The case took another unexpected turn when Antonio Vasquez flew to Phoenix after learning about the situation through news reports. The wealthy restaurant owner was shocked to discover that Isabella was married and had been using money stolen from her husband to fund their relationship. I had no idea she was married, Antonio told detectives. She told me she was divorced and building her business independently. If I had known she was using stolen money, I would never have continued the relationship. Antonio immediately ended his relationship with Isabella and provided evidence to support the financial fraud investigation. The man Isabella had planned to start a new life with abandoned her as soon as he learned the truth about her deception. 3 months after that devastating night in November, both Marcus and Isabella found themselves facing consequences they had never imagined. Marcus was charged with filing a false police report and wasting law enforcement resources. But his cooperation with the investigation and his obvious mental health struggles led to a sentence of community service and mandatory counseling. Isabella faced much more serious consequences. The financial fraud investigation revealed that she had stolen over $100,000 from their joint accounts over the course of her affair. She was charged with theft, fraud, and tax evasion. Her business collapsed when clients learned about the scandal, and she was forced to declare bankruptcy to pay legal fees. The divorce proceedings were swift and decisive. With Marcus's evidence of Isabella's financial crimes, the court awarded him the majority of their remaining assets and their house. Isabella received nothing and was ordered to repay the money she had stolen. Both Antonio Vasquez and Isabella's business clients testified against her during the fraud trial. The man she had hoped to build a new life with became one of the key witnesses in her prosecution. Isabella was ultimately sentenced to 18 months in prison and 5 years of probation. Marcus moved out of their Cedar Avenue house, unable to bear living in a place that held so many painful memories. He sold the property and used the proceeds to start fresh in a different city, taking a new job with a tech startup in Seattle. The counseling Marcus received as part of his sentence proved to be genuinely helpful. He learned to process his grief and anger in healthy ways, and he began to understand how his thirst for revenge had nearly destroyed his own moral compass. The therapist helped Marcus recognize that Isabella's betrayal, while devastating, did not justify his elaborate deception. Revenge is a poison that destroys the person who drinks it. His counselor often said, "You discovered that truth before it was too late." Marcus also learned important lessons about trust and communication in relationships. He realized that he had been so focused on providing financial security that he had neglected the emotional aspects of his marriage. While this did not excuse Isabella's betrayal, it helped Marcus understand how their relationship had become vulnerable to outside influences. Isabella, serving her sentence in a minimum security facility, had time to reflect on the choices that had led to her downfall. In letters to her sister, she expressed genuine remorse for her actions and acknowledged that her pursuit of excitement and wealth had blinded her to the value of what she already had. The case became a cautionary tale about the dangers of social media, the importance of honest communication in relationships, and the destructive power of revenge. Detective Martinez often used the case in training seminars, illustrating how deception and betrayal can escalate into elaborate schemes that destroy multiple lives. For viewers watching this tale unfold, the lessons are clear. Social media can expose truths we might prefer to keep hidden. Financial deception in marriage carries serious legal consequences, and the pursuit of revenge often causes more damage to the pursuer than to their target. Marcus's decision to abandon his revenge plan, even though it came too late to prevent the disaster, ultimately saved him from becoming the monster he had been planning to become. Sometimes the greatest victory is recognizing when we are about to lose ourselves in the pursuit of justice. If this tale of betrayal, revenge, and redemption has captivated you, make sure to subscribe to True Crime Seat for more incredible stories that explore the complex motivations behind human behavior. Hit that notification bell to never miss an episode, and let us know in the comments what you think about Marcus's decision to abandon his revenge plan. Was it the right choice, or should he have followed through with exposing Isabella's crimes? Your thoughts and engagement help us bring you more compelling content every week.